Hello creatives! Welcome back to my channel. For all of you who are new here, my name is Angela. I am a graphic designer and an illustrator. And today we're going to be diving into Procreate on the iPad. I haven't done one of these in a little while, so we're going to explore a bit more about Procreate brushes, and I'm going to show you how to create your own custom brushes to make a scene. I did this also in Illustrator, so there is that going to be coming out soon if it isn't already out. I'm not quite sure of my schedule, but for those of you who are subscribed to me, welcome back and thank you so much. I am really close to my goal. We recently hit past 800 subscribers. Thank you all so much. And let's dive in to Procreate. I have a very standard size artboard here. This is an 8x10 artboard. Where's my glove? Got my glove, okay. Some of you may not know what this glove is. This is a artist glove for digital drawing and digital painting. It's just to make sure that whenever your hand rests on the tablet that it doesn't select anything or doesn't do any specialized gestures. So this just blocks that from happening, and you can get this on Amazon. I will have mine that I got linked down below in the description box for you all if you want to have the same one. There's many different kinds out there. All right, so custom brushes. With custom brushes, you can literally make anything you want, especially in this program. Now, the brush tool is right here on the top right, and under artistic, which is what I have it set to right now, I have created my own specialized custom brushes. I did this back in December, so all these are going to be December themed, but I'll do a simple one. I did Christmas trees, but we're gonna create our own. I'll just show you ones that I made. The more direct you press, the more saturated it is. I'm just gonna get rid of that. I also did candy canes, and these were really fun to do. They're very, very simple. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So I think since it is spring, let's do flowers. I know it's probably a bit cliche, but I think it's gonna be cute. So I'm going to go into my calligraphy set and choose the Monoline Brush. Oh, by the way, I also created this brush. I thought the polka dots were funny, and this can be a beautiful like halftone brush. So let me show you how we did that very simple brush first before we get into the flowers. So all I did was go into my brush library right here. I went to the calligraphy category. There is this Monoline brush. The Monoline brush kind of starts off everything. So all I did was slide it to the left, and then you have options for share, duplicate, and reset. So the first step is to duplicate this brush, and it gives you Monoline 2. So once you duplicate the brush, you can tap into the brush by just tapping the brush itself. You have a whole bunch of selections here. I'm going to increase the spacing of this to about 90%, and that's where you get all the polka dots from. Now the stabilization, you do want it to be high, and then properties. Minimum size 2, maximum size, I'm going to put maximum size at about 160, 155, 160. Oh, you can tap in. Okay, you can tap in and also put in custom sizing as well. All right, and so now I have a new Monoline brush, and it has more sizing options available. So this is a polka dot brush that I can use for halftones, what have you. That's all there is to it. All you have to do is just mess with the settings. Honestly, it's very forgiving, and if you mess up, you can just start over. You can duplicate it twice and do different kinds. There is a plethora of things that you can do. So we have that one. Now, you can also tap into this brush, and you can change the name of the brush. If you go to About This Brush all the way at the bottom when you scroll down. So you can rename the brush up here by just tapping into it and changing the name. So this is going to be Polka Dots. I'm gonna click done and it comes up as polka dots. Any new brush that you create, if you want to put it in your own category, then I highly suggest putting it into a custom category, or you can name the category yourself. So I'm gonna press this plus sign right here in the brush library, and I'm gonna do halftone brushes, because halftone brushes usually have lots of different types of textures like polka dots, cross hatching, and stuff like that. That adds some texture to a piece without having to take away from the piece. There is our new category here, and that one was under calligraphy, if I'm not wrong, or was it under artistic? It was under calligraphy because it was monoline. All right, so here's our polka dot brush. I can just take it, tap and drag it into the new category, go into the new category, and it should be there. There we go. And it will be in my halftone brushes palette. So I'm going to create a new category, and this is going to be spring brushes. And spring brushes, pretty simple. It's just going to be florals. There we go. And this is where we're going to create all of our new brushes. Now, when you think of springtime, it's not just flowers, but it's also foliage. So I kind of want to do some foliage brushes as well. And I'm going to choose a nice green color to do a lot of this in. The color doesn't matter so much necessarily when you're creating brushes. You can create them in black and white if you want. I'm just going to use green just because of spring, but you don't have to. I'm going to start with a very simple monoline brush. Oh, by the way, guys, I also created this ribbon brush as well. This one's really quite cool. So you can do like ribbons. Okay, so for springtime, I'm going to create these very, very simple flowers. When it comes to flowers, I'm just going to create kind of like a tulip style, if you will. And again, it really doesn't matter what color you start this off with. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the middle of the canvas, and I'm going to make it quite big. Now the key to this is to make sure that the brushes stay simple. You don't want to overcomplicate them and give them a lot of lines, because you're going to be adding a lot of different like lighting and shading and such like that, and details afterwards when you've placed the brush and are creating your scene. So we're going to start with this one. So we're going to go over here and tap on this wrench icon, which is your settings icon. In the settings, go down to copy canvas, and you just tap copy canvas. Now, if you're on a newer iPad, you can do the same process, but there is a shortcut to be able to copy the canvas. Then we're going to move into the brush library over here. Make sure we're in our spring brushes category, or whatever category you named yours. Press this plus sign, and this plus sign is going to add a new brush. So now that we're on this window here, go down to shape for shape brush, since we are going to be creating a shape brush. All these are kind of considered like shape brushes. Go to edit right here, import, and then you're going to select paste because we copied our artboard before, so now we're going to paste it. Since this is considered black and white, you want to have a negative background, so that way the brush stands out and you don't get the background with it. So you're just going to tap with 2 fingers on the screen and it will negate the background for you. And then we're going to choose done. And then this is our brush. Now it may not look how we want it to here, but that's okay. We're going to change up some of these settings. Now the settings is going to be like the most overwhelming part, but don't worry, it's literally going to be so easy. You can choose to scatter it, which means it will rotate and move. But I don't really want to do that. I kind of just want to go to stroke path up here and increase the spacing. And then you'll see all the little flowers come through. Look at that, all of our little flowers. Let's do 2% rotation, just so that they look like they're kind of swaying in the wind. Color dynamics. So once we have them all spaced out, you can go into color dynamics, and this is where you get multiple color tones of the brush. There's lots of different selections here. Under each one, there's a secondary color. When you initially choose a color for your brush, that's going to be the color that gets placed down, but then you can also add a secondary color in the settings, and it gives you that secondary color as well as the initial color. So I'm going to add a little bit of secondary color here. I'll do like 25%, and then we'll see how this works. Under About This brush, which is all the way down at the bottom, let's tap on the name up here and name this Tulip Brush. My maximum size I'm going to increase to about 200. Press done. And then there's our new tulip brush. So let's test it out. I'm just going to get rid of this, get rid of that one, and let's test out our brush. We got a lot of spacing here. Okay. You can also stamp it, which is really cute. Now I'm going to choose a secondary color, and this is where the secondary color options come into play. Up here in your color palette, there is your main color, which is on the left here, and then there is a color that's on the right, and that's going to be your secondary color. So my secondary color I'm going to choose, I'm going to make it a nice lightish pinky color. So we have different color tones going on here. There is something going on with the opacity of this, so let me go back and change that. I believe I changed it in dynamics. Okay. That spacing is also a little bit off, so you can always go back in and tweak this as much as you want. I'm going to go back into my stroke path and decrease the spacing a bit. It's a bit easier to do. There we go. That looks a bit better. Okay, so now we have our tulip brush. You can also duplicate your brushes and change them up as much as you would like to. For instance, under color dynamics, that secondary color, increase that in these settings just to see what it's gonna look like. I'm also gonna increase saturation as well. I'm gonna press done, and let's see what our secondary brush looks like. There we go. Okay, so now that we have a tulip brush going, let's place some of these. And I do believe there's also like purple tulips too. Let's do some nice purple tulips as well. And you can also just stamp some as well if you want. And do a nice green field here as well. We can also do like little trees. So let's see, let's go into, this one looks like a nice brush, but let's see if I'm going to choose a carbon stick. And just create some trees here, some very abstract ones, because we don't need it to be super detailed. And then we can create this as a brush as well. I'm just going to move this into the center. So like we did before, this was just a carbon stick, which is under the charcoals category in the brush library that I just made. Let's go to the actions toolbar. I called it a settings toolbar just because the wrench reminds me of settings, but it's an actions toolbar. Copy canvas like we did before. Go into our brush library. I'm going to go into my spring brushes here. Tap on this plus sign. Under shape over here on the left, we're going to tap edit right next to where it says shape source. Import, paste, and it gives us our tree. Double finger tap on the screen here to negate the background. Press done. And then let's switch up. Ooh, that actually looks kind of cool. Let's increase our spacing quite a bit. Stabilization, I'm going to put up to 50 and max out the streamline as well. And then for color dynamics, I don't want to really mess with the color dynamics of this one very much. Maximum size I will mess with a little bit. I'll put it up to about 150. Press done up here at the top. And then we have our brush. And let's add some trees. There we go. And I also want to do like a nice dark brown one as well. So that way not everything's like so much the same color. And we kind of have like a meadow type of thing going on here. I also want to make another brush as well. And that other brush is going to be, let's see, can we do like little tiny flowers? You know those like little tiny, almost like baby's breath flowers? I'm going to create one of those. So let's turn these layers off and let's create these little baby breath flowers. I'm just going to keep this really dark color on. And I'm using textured brushes just to make it a little bit more interesting rather than having just a plain like little flower, like just having like plain lines and clean lines. There we go. So same process, actions menu, copy canvas, brushes, spring brushes category, add a new shape brush, go to shape, edit, paste, tap the screen to negate the background, and let's increase the spacing quite a bit, make it a little bit more random, and color dynamics. Let's see, I just want to increase the saturation by quite a bit. There we go. I'm going to create a new layer. Let's turn all of our layers back on. And for these little flowers, I think I'll do just some nice white type of flowers here. Yeah, I have all like these little flowers coming about. They all look like they're kind of scattered around. And for the tulip brush, I can go in and change up the color dynamics and do more of a secondary color as well. Should I do yellow? I think I'm gonna do yellow tulips too, just to make it a bit more cheery. There we go. We have this meadow that we're creating here. And then of course you can always add different lighting and shading to this. With the trees, we can add some lighting and shading to the trees as well by simply going to the tree layer, selecting Alpha Lock. I'm going to do just a textured brush. Let's see. I'm just gonna do like a carbon stick brush and just add a bit of lighting here for the trees. I'm gonna do the same thing with the brown trees. Add a bit of lighting here. And then we can go in and add in like all the little details here and there when it comes to, whoops, a scene like this. There we go. Adding in all like these little details and such like that. So there's definitely a lot that can be made with these types of brushes. And let's see, if you even wanted to like add more texture to this, you definitely can. There are organic brushes in here as well. There's swordgrass in here, so we can even put some swordgrass texture in here on this level. So you can add some texture to this, and that way it gives it more of like a naturalistic feel. We can even go into the sky here and change up the lighting. I'm just gonna airbrush it. I like to use the airbrush. Do a lot of you like to use the airbrush? I like to use the airbrush. I just find that the airbrush gives me so much more freedom to have things look exactly the way I want them to. You can do a sun. So I'm just messing about with this now, but you can definitely do a lot with custom brushes. You can make as many custom brushes as you want. You can make them as intricate as you want them to be. You can make them as simple as you want them to be. I personally think simple is the best, just because you can add so much more afterwards and so much more textures and layers later. And that works really well. So adding some sunlight here. There we go. So now we have a beautiful meadow, and you can make any kind of custom brush that you would like. I just think that this came out really nice. And of course, tulip stems are not the same color as the buds, so we can always go back in onto this tulip selection here and change that up, make it have dark stems. And the easiest way to change up the color is just to alpha lock the layer, so that way you can recolor it. You can definitely make a lot of custom pieces, and you can definitely use a lot of different types of shapes to help you create as much as you want in a quicker amount of time, I believe. Customized brushes, the ones that you create yourself, can definitely save you time and make the whole illustration and digital painting process easier. So definitely give custom brushes a try. You can even do custom brushes that are not even related to foliage. It could be like buildings, it could be birds, it could be like anything. Like if you wanted to make a bird, for instance, that's really fun. I didn't even think about doing a bird. What? Let's turn these off and let's do a bird. We're gonna just do black as far as the color. Monoline brush. You can do very simple birds here. You can do very simple birds just like these. You know, when you see birds from far away, they're kind of like bees, if you will. We can have these birds flying off into the distance. Copy canvas, add the new brush, under shape, edit, paste it, tap the background. There we are, and then we can draw little birds in here. There we go, so we can even have some birds flying off in the distance as well. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video, a little something different and something new to try if you haven't tried already. And if there's any brushes that you do create, let me know in the comments down below what you made. And I will see you all soon, creatives.